Queen Sugar knew exactly what it was doing with episode 5 from season 5. Because this episode opens with George Floyd's murder, and it's an incredibly heavy topic and a full-on discussion around Black life, its value to the people living with us in this country, and how we process, navigate, and continue to live amongst daily trauma, persecution, and oppression. Let's talk about episode 6. This is the first show that I've seen George Floyd's murder addressed directly and by name. Watching how the Black men, and particularly in this episode, process and receive the news of George's loss of life truly brought me to tears. Micah's full and fiery expression of his feelings echoed the millions of young Black and brown lives who are fed up with the persecution, oppression, and blatant racism displayed by murderous cops in this country. And a little bit more on that later. We knew this was coming with Nova and Calvin. She asks him if he feels shame about the murder of George Floyd. Calvin states that he doesn't feel embarrassed or ashamed, and Nova takes the opportunity to educate him on how Black people are held to a collective conscience and monolith, while white people have the privilege of disassociation and no connection to the trash-ass behavior of other white people. Nova does not let up on Calvin throughout the episode, as halfway through the episode she asks Calvin to tell her about the time that he stood by and watched a Black kid be beat by his partner for stealing a candy bar. While it is not right that all Black people tend to get viewed as or associated with the experiences the majority has with individual Black people, it is a sad reality of our existence. Is it too much to ask for our white counterparts to have even a quarter of the same responsibility and accountability for the experiences other white people exude and release in white supremacy, hate, and racism? Not that every white person should have to suffer because of the acts of these other hateful beings, but we need white people and allies who claim to not believe in these toxic beliefs, who don't hold these hateful mindsets, to hold the ones that do accountable and make this shit not acceptable. We cannot fix some shit that we did not break. We will never be able to eradicate white supremacy without the help, care, and passion of white people who also want to see the mindset and institutions built on the mindset destroyed. What is so hard to understand about that? Micah and Charley take the two sides Black people found themselves on back in May and June. And honestly, every day, trying to figure out when to stand and fight and when to turn the other cheek. And Charley, I hear you, sis, only light can drive out darkness and all that. But come on, Micah has a point. They are literally killing us without no recourse or responsibility. Ultimately, Charley decides to join Micah at the protest, and we love to see it. She was taken back to Micah's run-in with the cops, who decided that one day was the right day to take him on the side of the road and stick a gun in his mouth just because. I really wish Hollywood wouldn't have called Ra. He was in marital bliss and completely oblivious to what had happened, and I watched like, dang. He couldn't even have the weekend without being emotionally destroyed by the senseless and racist actions of some overzealous killer cops. And back at the diner, Vi finds Hollywood's gun, and it spurs a conversation around the right to bear arms and the need for Black people to feel like they are able to fight for their lives when put in certain situations and protect themselves and the ones that they love. The entire episode was very, very hard to watch, but this conversation in particular struck home because I don't necessarily believe in like having a gun or the right to bear arms. Well, I believe in the right to bear arms, but I don't like the idea of us being able to kill one another, and guns are dangerous and people with guns are dangerous. But I get it. Like, listening to Hollywood talk about his need to protect himself and his family, or at least have a chance, right? He's not even saying that his life won't be lost, but he wants to go out fighting for it and fighting for whoever he loves if he's placed in this position. And I get it. I totally get it. And ultimately, Vi has to get it and concede too. The episode closes on Ralph Angel and Darla having to talk about Black Lives Matter and navigating this world as a black person with Blue. He is about 10 years old, and my heart breaks listening to Ralph Angel tell Blue how he has to be very careful but ready for when he experiences bad people in the world or is stopped by the cops as a black boy or man. When Blue asks, how does he stay alive? That is it for me. Even with us knowing not to run, not to resist, to be compliant, there are no guarantees that any of us will make it out of such incidents alive. This episode was so layered, nuanced, and beautifully detailed, covered all of the thoughts that I and many other black people had over last summer and are honestly still struggling with today. Even now, as white supremacy still persists, it's hard to find the strength to continue on with life, light, and hope for more. And to continue to work hard when the world feels so heavy and borderline unbearable at times, simply from the actions of a group of people who wake up daily ready to choose violence and hate. Y'all, we shed a lot of tears watching this episode. In the comment section today, I want you to tell me how you're doing. How are you feeling? What are you holding on to that you want to share? If you aren't comfortable publicly sharing this, then feel free to send me an email at heyteamvane@gmail.com and I will read it and respond to you. Y'all, I love you. I'm praying for you, praying for us. Please love on yourself a little bit more today. Give yourself space to breathe and be. Please take good care of yourself. Until the next video. Bye.